Sports build champions and leaders, but every champion has moments of struggle, pressure, anxiety, burnout, and those moments deserve real support. PAX Health is proud to sponsor the New Jersey Lacrosse podcast because they believe mental health care should be available when you need it, as you need it. Therapy and psychiatric services for kids, teens, communities, and families. Telehealth and in-person appointments are available within 48 hours. PAX Health, people helping people. Visit pax.health. That's PAX.health. Lacrosse families, meet Orgo, the calendar app that actually thinks like a sports parent. Orgo syncs with team apps you already use and enriches schedules with real-world logistics. Every event shows travel times, early arrival buffers, carpool assignments, conflict alerts, and time-specific weather so you know what gear to pack. Get your athletes on it too. Orgo teaches time literacy, an executive skill for life. One subscription, whole family. Code LAX25 is 25% off. Just $44 locks in sanity for the whole year. Visit www.orgohq.com. That's www.orgohq.com. JAG Physical Therapy, providing rehabilitative recovery from sports and soft tissue injuries to knee, foot, ankle, hip, shoulder, elbow, and back injuries. Schedule your appointment with JAG Physical Therapy today and meet their experienced team of physical therapists, occupational therapists, athletic trainers, and exercise physiologists invested in your full recovery. Get back the life you love at JAG Physical Therapy, the most awarded physical therapy provider in New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, just visit jagpt.com. That's JAGPT.com. This is the New Jersey Lacrosse Podcast. I'm your host, Keith Block.
I'm Bill Farr.
I'm Anthony Terranova.
And this here is Gil Swenson. Welcome to the New Jersey Lacrosse Podcast. This is the New Jersey Lacrosse Podcast, and we are happy to be joined this week by the head coach, the belated birthday boy, if you will, none other than Nick Miceli, the head coach of Scotch Plains Fanwood. Nick, how are you doing, man? And happy birthday.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Doing well.
Let's go through the rundown of what you can expect out of the podcast episode this week. First thing I want to talk about is potentially we're going to eat a little bit of crow here as we look at why our preseason top 20 maybe didn't mean as much as we thought, because we certainly didn't go the way that we thought it might otherwise. Then we're going to get into our weekly recaps. We're going to go through the games that we thought were meaningful, and certainly going to include our guest, Nick Miceli, on that, as he will talk about a big win that his team had in a 2-0 week this week. Go through our pick'em games, and then we're going to have a lot of back and forth, potentially about the top 20, who's in, two teams in particular, who's out. We had to move some teams down. Tharpy moved some teams down. Maybe he made some comments to some people that their rankings were bad. And then we're going to have our stall warning after our pick'em segment and our top 20. But for now, let's start our first game of the week to recap. Madison 13 and Mountain Lakes 12. Let's go to Terranova.
Oh, throw me on the spot here. Hold on. Yeah, so I didn't get to really see too much of that game, even though I'm pretty sure it was a live stream. But I think Madison is a good team. We've talked about it a little bit as the week was kind of leading on after their the first game they had, where they kind of thumped, I think it was Morristown. So we were kind of talking about them a little bit. Probably overranked Lakes, as we have tended to do these last few years. It seems to be in a consistent trend for us. And Madison have found a way to get another win against Lakes. I think they were just more fine-tuned, putting the ball in the back of the net. I think they won the faceoffs they needed to win. And again, it was a one-goal game, so they got the goal that they needed to get towards the end there. Lakes got to figure some things out. Thought they were very sloppy offensively. And they got to find some saves.
Tharpy, Gil, either of you guys watch any of that game at all?
I did not know, not personally.
No, no, I was I just got back from Disney. Shout out to the Mouse Man. So I made time for Chatham Westfield. I did not make time for Madison Mountain Lake. So my apologies.
Next game I want to get into here now is Tharpy. You're going to take a little bit of heat here because this is a game, team you had unranked, and you might have had a conversation with somebody from NJ.com whose name rhymes possibly with Grandin Bould, and you criticized him and NJ.com for having Pingree as high as, I believe, number 7 in the rankings there in that poll, and some snarky text messages, back and forth there between you and Brando. And now Bridgewater, Pingree 4, Bridgewater 3 in overtime. Tharpy, take us through it. What do you have?
Yeah, I think the preseason there was
Watch yourself, buddy.
I know the preseason there was not much justification for ranking Pingree at number 7. However, like we said on the preview podcast, what was Pingree going to be this year? Extremely stout defensively, a little limited offensively, and that's what they were against Bridgewater, and they won the game. So, we're gonna really dive into this. So, but I think like Pingree is who they thought we were. It was a disappointing result for Bridgewater. That doesn't mean I don't think Bridgewater is going to be good. That doesn't mean that it just means that Pingree is who I thought they were, but they show they can actually win these top 20 games, which changes my perspective on them a little bit. And that's all I'll say for now. But I think that talking to people from Bridgewater, they played extremely tight, made some massive mental mistakes. But like Pingree won the game. That's all that matters at this point. So even if I thought the justification for ranking them super high preseason wasn't there, they won the game on the field where the score mattered. So that's why, like you said, Keith, we'll get into it more later.
Now I want to bring in our guest this week. Coach Miceli, a 2-0 week to begin things here for your Scotch Plains Fanwood team, and there is nobody that is rejoicing a little bit more than our own Gil Swenson here, as you guys knocked off Dubfield 9-8. And that was after beginning this season with a nice win over Cranford. But certainly the marquee matchup for you this week was the game against Westfield, and you guys came out on top with that 1-goal victory. As your team starts the season, take a look back for us for this week and recap how you felt about everything.
Listen, I mean, first it started with our first game of the season playing Cranford. It's our rivalry game, our Coles Cup game. So I knew we had to, take care of that one. I didn't want the guys to overlook that. And then, as soon as the Cranford game was done, we had a couple good days of practice getting into the Westfield one. Listen, it's a great win for the team, for the program, for the town. All the alumni got, probably had 200 text messages after that game. But at the end of the day, I kind of told the guys before and reiterated it afterwards. No one wins a championship, March 28th, so it's awesome that we got that one. But, it's something that we can definitely help build our confidence, but enjoy it for the day and then we move on. But listen, the guys had 2 really good days of practice. I respect the hell out of Westfield. I think they're, you look at it the past couple of years, they were in back-to-back Curse Cup finals. They've kind of been the staple, them, Summit, I feel like they don't ever lose guys. They just kind of reload, and they play tough. I mean, they got some studs. Waldman, Ben Seward, the LSM, I think is great. The kid Reckemeyer shot the lights out yesterday. So they have guys, but I think it was great for our guys to get out there. And I said, you're not going to win any championship today, but you're definitely going to, if you get the job done, you're going to turn some heads. And that's what I think the guys did,
For sure.
Do you think that, your kids kind of needed a win like that against a team like Westfield? You guys a little less of a traditional power, Westfield, a typical quote unquote traditional power. How much did the kids need that to see that victory?
Yeah, and I gotta be honest. I mean, just as a program, it was our first time ever getting the best of them. We've never beaten them in our 15 years of existence. So I think it was just that added pressure, and it was a great game. I'm close with Coach Boomer and talked to him afterwards, and it was a good game with two good teams. There was nothing. I don't think that's a game that one team's going to win by 8 or 10 goals. It was just back and forth. They jumped out to an early lead, and then they took a lead, and then it was just back and forth. And it came down to literally the last second, pretty much. So, but I definitely think it was something for us to get the season going. I think it's nice for them to get that one, and now it's like, okay, now we can build off it.
Keith,
The
can I just ask a question real quick?
Sure.
Coach, so we thought, pretty highly of you guys coming into the season, and I'm sure, you knew what you had coming in and stuff. Was this preseason and leading up to the spring any different for you guys in terms of like preparation or things that you did a little differently, and, looking at your roster, I mean, wow, I think we could be really, really special this year.
I think the guys, I think the culture that, we've built or really trying to build is the guys put a lot of work in throughout the offseason. We have a lot of guys, we return a lot of guys from last year's team. Um, and we had a great year last year, but we felt like, we didn't really win anything postseason wise. So the guys got their gold cards, and obviously, we always want to try and win our league, your county, and obviously a state championship. Uh, the fact that our programs won a state championship 4 years ago, guys have seen that in town. So, our current seniors were eighth graders when that happened. You know, um, so they do have pretty lofty goals, but we have a lot of guys that play throughout the year. Got a lot of multi-sport guys, but these guys work throughout the entire year together. So it was something that they really put a lot of work into this, and they were chomping at the bit. I think it was tough for everyone across the state, and you guys were talking about earlier games being a little sloppy. This is the first like really bad winter we've had in what, probably 5, 6 years. And I think it's showing. Like you're seeing a lot of kids, it's a little rusty. Kids weren't able to go play outside. I mean, think about it. There was over a foot of snow on the field for probably what, 5 or 6 weeks, up until maybe 5 days before the season started.
At
So I think
least.
that's something that definitely was shown. And guys are playing earlier now. I know we started March 25th this year. The whole reason why I did that was we only have one 3 game week this whole entire season. I want to have 2 game weeks so we actually have time to prep. So I think that's something, the early lacrosse, and listen, a March lacrosse, it's not going to be the same as lacrosse come May time. So it's only going to get better from that.
Anything from around the state that you looked at in week one that shocked you, or you said, all right, nobody's been talking about this, but I kind of thought that might be how this goes? Any one of those in either direction?
No, I think just talking to other coaches and kind of hit on the point that I just made, I think everyone was just talking about how sloppy lacrosse was. And I think for for you guys being refs, you guys have probably seen scrimmages like it probably doesn't look as sharp as it's been in years past, just because I think we did start a little earlier and guys really weren't able, unless you're at an indoor facility, to really get those live reps doing stuff.
I want to look back for a second to last season and kind of how to get your opinion on how things shook out with PowerPoints and what you saw in the Curse Cup with the shot clock and kind of where and then I want to talk for a second about where you see things going with the shot clock this year as we approach that vote in May. But first, last year, look backwards a little bit. How did things go from a PowerPoints and a seating perspective, in your opinion?
I mean, listen, I think the state wanted to utilize their system to have the top 16 teams get in, and that's what we used. But then when we got into this actual, time to seed it, the thing that's worked for us for the X amount of years when it was lax numbers and it was lax power before that, that's the system that we used. That was used to, seed it. And unfortunately, I feel like our sport has a system that other sports really do want. I think it does work out. If you really look at how, um, the section tournaments go, it's pretty spot on. I think I brought this up last year, but a couple years ago when we went to the sectional final, we were the 1 seed. Chatham was the 2 seed, and I think they were 9-9. going into that state tournament. And there were teams with better records than them, and we ended up seeing each other in the championship that year. So I think that strength of schedule really came into play when you use that lax numbers.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And the shot clock. I think, we talked about it last week on the pod. What's needed for that to vote to pass. From your perspective on the Coaches Association side, where do you feel like we are? What's the Coaches Association plan to kind of mobilize and try to influence to make sure that athletic directors or superintendents, whoever the voting members may be within a district, to vote in the positive for us?
It's really just, having coaches find out who from their district, who from their school is going to be going to the spring meeting, whether it's the athletic director or principal, and really, explain this is why we need this for our sport and why, going off the shot clock and the Curse Cup. I mean, I was at those games. Did you, and you guys were, definitely saw it. Did it affect the games in a negative way? To be honest with you, I really don't think so. I think it was definitely a positive. I don't think if those games are played without a shot clock or not, I don't think it was something that was like, oh my God, this is making the game worse. If anything, I think it's making it better,
Yeah.
Are you in favor of the shot clock?
What's up?
Are you in favor of the shot clock?
Yeah, to be honest with you, if you told me I had to play a shot clock this week, I wouldn't say no, I don't want to do that. To be honest, I don't think it would affect our style of play, to be honest with you. We're not a team that, has long drawn out possessions. We kind of like to play, we kind of, try and run it like a college up in the field. So,
kind of head of the association though, what I'm sure coaches have talked to you about this already. Like, is the sense that majority of people want it? Like, obviously like we wanted the tournament of champions to go on. Like, that was a resounding feedback. Everyone knew, like, is shot clock kind of the same way, or is like a lot of people don't want it, or they just.
No, I think when we reached out to the coaches and we got a lot of feedback, majority of it was in favor of it, but there's concerns. I think the big one is obviously the cost, which is more of like a district concern. The other one too is for newer programs or programs that are struggling, is this going to hurt them? If they're trying to grow the game, does this make the game harder for newer players?
Yeah. I feel like, and you know what, I'm glad you asked that question, Nova, because we kind of have been taking for granted, Coach, that the answer to this question would be yes for everybody, but that's probably not the case, right? So it is good to have that perspective of knowing that, we probably do have the support there, at least theoretically. Gil, Tharp, anything else for Coach?
Thank you.
Yeah.
For having me. Sweet.
Wait, why I was going to say, Gil, why don't you explain a little more about why you're thanking Coach Miceli?
No, I don't want to drag Coach into my drama. But I got a lot of haters out there that I have to deal with personally on behalf of the group. And they've been quiet the last couple of days, so thank you.
It wasn't me. It was all the guys, but yeah.
Thank you, guys.
The over-under, Coach.
Just super happy for you and your program, Coach. And, we appreciate you, coming on. And, just wish, like you said, we think very highly of you and your program. And, we're excited to, you guys are following through. So that's great.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
The over-under on the number of Dubfield burner accounts that Gil interacts with every day on Instagram is like greater or less than 9, I would say, somewhere in that over-under area.
We've started to mesh a little bit though. We start to understand each other a little bit, and I think they're good guys deep down. Just like to know who they are.
I'm the one running the account.
Yeah.
Not me.
That's fair. Oh, goodness. All right, let's move into a segment here. In our, do you want to do top 20 or you want to do pick 'em first, boys?
Top 20.
Okay, we're going to go to our top 20 here. So in preparation for that, I'm going to share something with all of you here. You get to see this, because this is, I think, for everybody watching on YouTube, where we're headed today. And we're going to be putting Tharpy in the grave a little bit. Terranova and Gil will, as... I'm aware that he disagrees, but you're going to be the ones putting him in the ground. So we had The topic du jour of our top 20 is the integrity of the preseason rankings versus where we end up moving teams after just 1 week of play. And there were two particular teams, Madison and Pingree, who moved themselves into the top 20. And obviously, there are teams that have to move out when you do that. And there are teams in the poll who were ranked in a certain level that did not lose in this week, but yet were moved down. So first, I'm going to graciously open the field to William Tharp III, and you just describe for everyone who you moved in, who you moved out, and who you moved down, and why.
Do we want to go through the top 20 or just you want me to just
I'll
go?
give everybody the top 20 when you're done, but I want you to justify yourself here.
Okay. So, give me just 1 second. I apologize.
If only we had all day to prep for this. I mean,
well, okay, so the most obvious thing was, like he said, that Pingree and Madison played their way into the top 20. So my biggest movers and shakers were, so I moved Pingree up to 10. I inserted Madison at 13. And then so I dropped Bridgewater down to 15, and I dropped Mountain Lakes down to 17. And then Scotch Plains went up to 8, and Westfield dropped to 14. So the logic that I used for how I put those three teams between Scotch Plains, Pingree, and Madison were, I think Scotch Plains win over Westfield was the best. Then Pingree's win over Bridgewater was the second best. Then Madison's over Lakes was the third best. So in my mind, that was the pecking order for those three schools. Now, where the big fight we fought today, it was a bare knuckle brawl, was you guys thought that putting Pingree at 10 was disingenuous to teams like Manasquan, Bergen, who haven't lost yet. And so my argument is pretty simple. In my opinion, I still think Bridgewater is a good team. I don't think one bad result ends their season. So in my opinion, Pingree's win over Bridgewater means a lot, and they should be rewarded for that win. Now, so I have them above CBA, Kingsway, Madison, Westfield, Bridgewater, Ridgewood Lakes, Manasquan, Ramapo, and Bergen. Now, I think that if you want to say that, Manasquan is 2-0 and they beat Red Bank Catholic and Robbinsville, well, they're 2-0. They have more wins than Pingree. I don't know if I follow that line. Bergen Catholic is 3-0, but their 3 wins are against 3 out-of-state opponents. So, my logic with the out-of-state stuff is I don't really care about out-of-state wins. If we did, Gill is 0-4, they would be unranked, but they have 4 losses to out-of-state teams and 4 pretty good out-of-state teams. So that's I'm rewarding what I think is, if you went through the list of who CBA, Kingsway, Madison, Westfield, Bridgewater, Ridgewood, Lakes, Manasquan, Ramapo, and Bergen beat, I think Pingree has the best win and was rewarded thusly. Now, you guys said that ruins the integrity of our preseason poll, and I would say that, after 1 week, our preseason poll is based on prognostication and what we think, and I think that a recalibration of the poll is totally appropriate. And I think that if I truly believe in Bridgewater, then I have to rank Pingree appropriately. So that's the kind of high level where I thought of when I was doing my rankings.
Gil, Tony, I leave the floor wide open for you to rebut.
Do you want to go through it first, Keith, or no?
Sure. Our top 5 remains largely unchanged. 1, 2, and 3 remain the same. Del Barton, Augies, and Seton Hall Prep in the top 3. Don Bosco and Summit have flip-flopped at 4 and 5. Summit now ranked number 4, Don Bosco 5. 6 and 7, largely the same, Chatham and Shawnee. Scotch Plains Fanwood, the biggest jump up in the poll outside of Pingree, and they moved from 15 to 8. And rounding out the top 10, CBA and Gill, and those two teams flipped from week 1. And then I'll just read you now from 11 to 20 without getting into too many details. Kingsway, Westfield, Madison, Ridgewood, Manasquan, Pingree, Ramapo, Bergen Catholic, Mountain Lakes, and Glen Ridge. That's our top 20. Bridgewater has landed now outside of the top 20, as has Rumson Fairhaven, Notre Dame, and RV, I take it to mean not Rancocas Valley.
No, that's just receiving votes.
Receiving. Oh, sorry. You have too many 2-letter abbreviations there, boys. So Bridgewater, Notre Dame, and Rumson receiving votes. Gil, your reaction is?
I mean, we talked about before. I think Pingree going from unranked to 10, I think, is just too much. I think Madison even up to 13. We all put them at 13. That was extreme, but deserved. Lakes, I think, again, back to like our preseason poll, like we talked about these teams where they were for a reason. We can be wrong. We've definitely been wrong before. We've had some teams in the past that we reference a lot that they were just misses. We just missed on teams. I think we felt that the Madison wins justify them getting to 13, multiple wins. Pingree up from unranked, and we kind of detailed why they were unranked. I mean, I had them at 19 week 1, so they were in my mix. I thought they'd be good. I didn't think they'd be as good as, be able to beat Bridgewater Raritan first week. Obviously, that's a miss on our part, and credit to Pingree, and they should be top 20. But I think we also maybe overvalued Bridgewater a little bit, and looking at their other game this week wasn't super impressive. So you couple those together, and that's where we kind of dropped them down. And but I think we have all these other teams in here that just get looked over because I don't know why. I mean, they won their games. They're 2-0, they're 3-0, they're ranked preseason for a reason. For whatever reasons, whether it's the talent we think they brought back or the talent that they're bringing in. How well they're going to do in their season, and they've done well. They won 2-3 games each, talking about like Bergen and Manasquan, and Kingsway. I don't think Kingsway played yet. So again, it's like we can't be knocking teams who haven't played yet, or which is another thing. There's some unknowns here, with some teams that just have not played. We can't be shuffling them around just based off of one win with some of these other teams that are coming in. So it's tricky. Obviously, that's part of this process, but I think we can't. I don't know. Unranked to 10, to me, I know that was like our sticking point, Tharp, this morning, going through that list. But Tony?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we're wrong a lot more than usually we're right, and we want to be wrong. We say that probably every year when we do our preseason top 20s. We want to be wrong. We want storylines. We want guys coming out of the woodwork. We want unranks moving on up the ranks to to have something good to talk about. Some new blood coming into the system. Like, that's all well and good. I want to be wrong as much as possible if it means new teams upsets across the state. Like, that makes lacrosse better as a whole. The teams that we all thought were going to win every single week, won every week. That the season really wouldn't be much fun. There wouldn't be much parity, and what we're trying to do in this podcast really would be kind of worthless. But at the same time, like we've already talked about a little bit, you just did. You can't have a team that was unranked, let alone the things they felt about Pingree beforehand. Like, they weren't even receiving votes from Tharp going into this, and all of a sudden you catapult them to number 10 over teams that didn't play, teams that have multiple wins, and everything else in between. And again, yes, they should absolutely be ranked. Week 1, they beat a highly ranked team, but to move them to the 10th spot after one one game there against a top 20 team is a little off. You kind of, we put a lot of work into the preseason rankings and what we're trying to do. We don't just like kind of close our eyes. And again, when we're wrong, we're wrong. But kind of throws it to the complete side. Like, why do we do a preseason poll if all of a sudden like we're gonna just take week one wins and results and recalibrate our whole result? And at the same time, too, you're talking about good wins. Madison's win was better than Pingree win. Lakes was 7. Sharp even had Lakes as 7 in his own personal one. So that is a better win than Pingree beating number 11 Bridgewater. So why is Madison not 10 and Pingree? Like there was no criteria in what he was trying to do. And it made no sense to me, and it kind of made me obviously pretty upset that that's kind of all the systems and work that we're putting into this. That's kind of like what we're just going to throw out is like they won a 4-3 OT game. It's not like they won like 15-1 and absolutely dominated. Like, oh my goodness, okay, maybe both sides of the ball are clicking. Like this team is going to be a serious contender. Like they eked out a win against a team that didn't necessarily impress us in their first game that they had. I think against Home Run Bridgewater, and all of a sudden to pass Kingsway and Westfield, who had 2 top 10 losses by 1 goal, and Manasquan and Ramapo, who's looking pretty good right now. It just seemed a little off from what we were trying to do, and obviously what we're trying to build into our list. Like when Alabama lost to FSU this year, FSU didn't just move into the top 10, and Alabama got booted out like we did to Bridgewater. They got booted out. You lost to an unranked team, move on out. Like, and that's how rankings and preseasons polls into week one should be working. Teams continue to move forward. Teams continue to win back. And guess what? If Pingree is a top 10 team, they're going to keep moving themselves up the rankings because that's how the system and everything, plays out. So that was where obviously our big sticking point was. It just didn't make much sense how you can go from a team not even receiving a vote in your own poll to putting them above a team, 10 other teams, and also putting them above a team that already had a better win than we had, with Madison beating Lakes.
All right. Well, there you have it. And once again, I'll just for the YouTube viewers out there, sorry, Tharpy, but I don't know.
I think Moose gets a vote. Who what you don't have to give an opinion, but like I don't think
Well, hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Listen, I'm gonna defer and let the experts do the top 20. You guys got
we just went through. We're clearly not experts.
Coach Miceli, that's the smartest thing anyone's ever said on this podcast is staying out of a debate like this one. Good job out of you. Go ahead, Gil. What were you gonna say?
Well, no, Nova mentioned like receiving votes, like looking at preseason top 20 here, not having Pingree even in there, and then all of a sudden they're 10. We had Ramapo ranked previously, and they get 2 wins, one over an 8-3 win over Tharp's 21 team, if you want to call it that, and they don't get bumped at all, or they move up 1 spot, but Pingree's going to jump from nowhere to 10. We're looking at a 2-0 team in Ramapo who we had ranked.
They would have been at least in the top 20 of receiving votes, not all of a sudden just ricochet up to 20 because they won
again. All right, like I feel like we're not you're not listening, right? Great point about Madison, right? And according to my preseason poll, Madison's win over Lakes would have been better. Great point. I can't debate that, but I feel like the teams that Pingree jumped by, right? In my opinion, right? And you guys did this. You guys are wildly overreacted the opposite way by dropping Bridgewater out of your top 20. Like both of you guys, and for Gil, for you not to move up Pingree at all, like that makes no sense. Like you had Pingree ranked 19 or whatever, and then you have him in the exact same spot after a win over your top 10 team. Like to not even move him up 1 or 2 spots, like that's the same logic. And I think you're overreacting the opposite way. You guys don't think Bridgewater's not that. I don't want to put words in your mouth. You guys are not as high on Bridgewater as I am, right? Is that fair to say? So that's like, in my opinion, I think Bridgewater's still going to be a very good team, and that we can't. A win over them means a lot more to me. Like I said, Ramapo's win over St. Joe's. St. Joe's is clearly not a top 20 program, right? Right now, St. Joe's is not a top 20 program, and that's okay. But like, I still think Bridgewater's a top 20, 15 team. So that's why I moved them up. I moved Ramapo up, not a lot. Like I said, none of those teams behind them, right? I thought were how to win as good. That's all it comes down to. Like I said, I can't defend the maybe I should have had Madison a little higher behind Pingree, but I still think Pingree has wins better than CBA and Gill, obviously. So like
That's fine, but to Nova's point about discrediting the preseason polls completely, like we moved teams down who won. So then why do we even rank them in the first place? Like why do we rank them
because
preseason?
in
You're gonna move
order
Manasquan down for winning 2 games. You're gonna move Bergen down for winning 3 games.
right, but
Why do
again,
we rank them in the first place?
Bergen beat 3 teams that aren't from New Jersey. We know nothing about them. We can't compare them. They don't scale. Okay, Manasquan's 2 wins are against Red Bank Catholic, who's no disrespect, a bottom third non-public team, and then a Robbinsville. They beat Robbinsville 10-3, which that's I'm a Robbinsville guy, so I'm not gonna crap on Robbinsville, but like that you would expect Manasquan to win that game by more. Like that's not so just because they're 2-0 over, 2 okay wins, it's not like just because you're 2-0, you're gonna shoot up the rankings. And like I said, it all depends on what you think of Bridgewater. You guys don't think super highly of Bridgewater, which is fine. So you didn't move Pingree up a lot. I still think highly of Bridgewater. So that's why I move him up. But like in order, we all agreed that Pingree and Madison had to enter the rankings, right? And like Glock let us off with some teams are gonna have to move down or move back or get shuffled around. And it's that Madison was clearly better than we thought. Pingree's better than we thought. Like that's not a disrespect, but like when Bergen still has 2 more out-of-state games. They're gonna be 5 games in before they play an in-state team. So we don't actually know anything about Bergen. We don't actually know anything about Gill or if we're gonna dock teams, right? Like CBA lost pretty convincingly to Iona today, but we don't move them. So that's where I approached it. It's all revolved around what I thought was the top one.
The great part about this is, boys, this is week 1 of the season. It's a debate that we can have all year long. I have to move us along here in this week's edition, and I'm going to move us on to our pick'em before we get to the stall warning. First game coming up this week, and is it true that we settled on the fact that Terra Nova is now too big a deal in the officiating community to pick games? Is that a true statement? Yep. That's a true statement. Okay. So I'm retiring you. I should have a graphic of you going in the grave for your pick'ems, Nova. So I apologize for that. First one that we got, Mo Beard and Roxbury. Gil, lead us off.
Rival of mine from high school, but I'm going to go with Roxbury.
Tharpy?
I'm going to take Mo Beard fighting Steve Manitas.
Of course you are. Get out. Oh my God. Check, check. Sorry, coach. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Not at all. Not at all. Give me a moment. Okay. Whoa. Whoa. It's great.
Our group chat gets gnarly.
Yeah. Very PG.
We have kids trying to sleep in this house, so can't be screaming.
Too.
We got Somerville Wednesday. Yeah, they beat Princeton.
You ever start?
Okay.
It's like that thing where it's like you feel good, and then it's like I watched the film, and I'm like, man, I think we can win. And it's like if you lose, you're just like depressed. So I'm like, I'm in that like weird spot of like, I just want the game to be here, you know?
Next game on our schedule, Verona and MKA. Tharpy, you get to go first on this one.
I picked this game because I'm calling it the Dave Giarrusso Bowl. I'm gonna go with MKA.
Prep schools through and through. Very on brand for you. And Gil.
MK has taken the last several of these, I believe, but I believe that's because of the head man who is now at Verona. So I'm going to go with Verona.
And up next, Mendham and Montville. Gil.
Give me the minute. Give me the Minutemen.
Oh, or Tharp, go ahead. Which one's the Minutemen for
bad.
those people who are not up on their New Jersey nicknames?
Mendham, I think. I think it was the Minutemen.
That would be priceless if it really wasn't the Minutemen. It was something else. That'd be fantastic. Tharpy picking Mendham. Gil, who do you have?
I'm going to keep it consistent and go opposite and go Montville. I think they split last year. In 2 games, I'm going to take Montville.
All right. 3 for 3 on the head-to-head there. Next up, Oratory Prep and DePaul. Gil, you can really go first this time.
I'm going to go with DePaul.
Tharpy?
Yeah, I'm going to Paul. I think they're gonna have the best player on the field. I think DePaul.
Okay. And our last game, Del Barton and Don Bosco. Tharp.
I'm gonna say stay hot. Go with Delby. I think they're gonna stay number 1.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so we have head-to-head on 3, agreement on 2, including Del Barton, Don Bosco, where both Gil and Tharp go with the Green Wave. Gil, you want to recap last week's picks for us?
Yeah, we got off to a rough start for sure, and we heard about it. That's for sure. I did at least. So you guys are welcome for being the front man or the man on the front lines there, taking the heat. But Hopewell really let us hear it about that sweep against the Immaculata. Very convincingly as well, may I add. But they did turn around and take a bad one against Northern Burlington. So it's all good at the end of the day. But we kind of got to a 3-2. Me and Tharpy got to 3-2 different ways, both taking Coach Miceli's boys SPF and a win there. We all had Notre Dame over Ridge, who was a very convincing win over Ridge. We thought might be close or lower scoring. And Tharp got A.L. Johnson over Wall, and I came back with Wayne Valley over Central on quite a buzzer beater.
from outside the box, a ripper from the 35-yard line or so for a big win for Wayne Valley there. So let's take a look at what we have coming up this week and do some quick game previews. Let's run through them. Bernards and now unranked by you experts, Bridgewater.
Yeah, I just more so included this because I think Bridgewater has Bernards and Gill this week, so I think we're gonna find a lot out about Bridgewater this week. Either they're not they're not they're not having the best year, or if they come out of this week 1-1 or 2-0, I'm gonna be wearing a crown on this podcast next week.
There you go. I feel like I have to throw this one to you, Gil. Seton Hall Prep takes on Westfield.
Yeah, I mean it's no easy road for Westfield coming out of the gate here, but that could pay off for them down the road for sure. Getting these out of the way early, learn a little bit about themselves early on, and being tested all over the field, and that's going to continue this week against Seton Hall. And I think we all have Seton Hall, up there for a reason. I think they're going to continue and get that win, but again, it could strengthen Westfield down the stretch. But I think it's just going to be another tough road for them.
Nova, how about Del Barton Don Bosco on Thursday? What do you see coming there?
Absolute battle. And I do think Delby is few goal favorites, but I will certainly be watching this game Thursday night on the stream. No question about it. There's just so many good players on both sides of the ball. We'll see who wins faceoffs. I'm going to predict a Barton, but if the Bosco can get some possessions, make some big saves, anything can happen. In a heavyweight match like this.
Tharp, I feel like you were very heavy on Notre Dame in the preseason, and they had that big win over Ridge that we mentioned a couple minutes ago. And they play St. Aug's this week. Do they have enough to go toe-to-toe with a team that we all believe to be one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the state?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fascinating. I mean, St. Augustine just played Episcopal Academy to a super tight game. Episcopal beat Lawrenceville, the number one kind of consensus number one high school team in New Jersey, and Episcopal beat them, and Augies was right there to beat them. So, man, if Notre Dame can make this even respectful game, within margin of 4-ish goals, that'll tell us a lot about Notre Dame. Like you said, Glock, just. I think, like you said, we all thought that they beat Ridge. I don't think any of us thought it'd be 18-6 over Ridge. So just super impressive by Notre Dame. But I put this game on there just because I think it's going to tell us a lot about Notre Dame, and I think St. Augustine is for real. Is Notre Dame gonna, like we said, could Notre Dame be that sleeper team this year and end up in the quarterfinals of the non-public tournament? This game will tell us a lot.
A game that I think is sneaky good. Ramapo against Chatham this week. Ramapo really playing well out of the gate. And this has the ability for me to be maybe a little bit of a prognosticator and that game to be close and we start taking Ramapo maybe a little more seriously. Or Chatham's offense could just, blow the barn doors off of this thing, and I could look a little silly. What do we see happening in Chatham and Ramapo?
Well, I think they did in the second half of yesterday. They're only the 4 teams above them that we have right now are going to be able to kind of, 5 teams we have above right now are going to be able to compete. That team is just so good offensively. And once they get in the flow, they started winning faceoffs. Rumson had no answer. With what they're trying to do. It's just threats everywhere. LSM was electric yesterday for Chatham, scoring behind the back goals, everything. So they just they're just so dangerous in transition with the ball on their stick. Rambo is going to have to play a slow down style, take advantage of it with no shot clocks now. It's really going to be their only way to kind of compete in this.
Is there a chance, Nova, that Chatham is looking ahead to Ridgewood later in the week, and that is a reason why this one stays closer than maybe it might otherwise be?
I think they're going to be pretty well tested at this point. I think they were a little sloppy to start their game versus Rumson. It was only 6-5 at halftime. And then they kind of came out and started firing on all cylinders. So I don't think they're going to look past Ramapo is a ranked team in all outlets right now, so I don't think this is going to be a team that they're overlooking It's not like a team just on the outside looking. Like Rampo is a good team, and they're going to be ready to compete.
Gil, a team out of your namesake, Gil St. Bernard's, taking on Bridgewater, and Bridgewater's second tough test of the week.
Yeah, I think it tells us a lot about both these teams. As Lart mentioned, and Gil St. Bernard's playing a bunch of out-of-staters right now. That it's hard to judge because we don't follow those teams. We don't know what they bring back year to year, especially early in the season. So we'll learn a lot about them. Then you start to be able to kind of compare matchups, and these teams will all play each other in Somerset in the Skylines Conference. So we can start to see how these teams shake out against each other. Big week for Bridgewater for sure. We know we have Gil ranked preseason for a reason, keeping them there right now. For a reason, even with those out-of-state losses. So, if Bridgewater is able to get that win, the Bernards win, and kind of couple some good things here, like Tharp said, that that'll definitely launch them right back up. But we'll see if they can kind of bounce back off that Pingree loss and start to put some things together.
And the last game that we will look forward to this week, and I will allow our guest to comment on his preparation for Rumson Fairhaven as Scotch Plains and Rumson square off.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that one. We're actually playing at Kane. It's an autism awareness game. We're playing before Kane plays Christopher Newport. We have a couple games before that, so don't want to put the cart before the horse there. But I know Rumson's going to be talented. They got guys. I know I've heard you guys talk about them. They got guys all over the field. I know they had a tough one versus Chatham, but listen, they're good. They're going to be a really tough team this year. So not even thinking about them yet. We have a couple games, and then we'll start worrying about them in a couple days.
And this is where I really want to see the intestinal fortitude of the boys here on the podcast. I want to hear everybody else break down what they expect from Scotch Plains and Rumson face to face here with the head coach at Scotch Plains. Boys, what do we see happening there?
Yeah, I think Scotch Plains has the face-off advantage. Right now through a couple games, it seems like goalie play has been pretty solid for Scotch Plains. They have a top-level defenseman, so look forward to that matchup with Luke Lydon from Rumson. So listen, Moose, you got a believer over here. I think you guys are a really good team for a reason. So I think it'll be a great game for sure. But I think I think Scotch Plains has the horses for it.
Gil, Nova, anything to add on that one?
Oh, but you got to see Rumson in person, right?
Yeah, I had the Chatham Rumson game yesterday. So for me, I have not been able to see your team on a stream or anything yet, Coach. I will certainly do that as soon as something pops up for me to do that. Because I believe my eyes more so than anything else. But for me, it's going to be more so where Rumson kind of really is, or is Chatham really just that freaking good? More so than anything else. I do think Rumson is a top 20 team. Just again, like we talked about, when teams win, got to move them up. When you're right the bubble on right on the top 20 on the towards the back end, and you lose, you're probably going to go out. I do think Rumson is a top 20 team, but I also think that Chatham might just be that much better than a lot of the competition you're going to see this year.
All right, so now on to as we're over time, as I knew we were going to be, because it was too much to do this week in the show, and that's fine. Our stall warning. We're in the last 2 minutes here, boys. We got to keep it in. So I first throw it to Gil. What's the craziest, wildest, coolest thing that you have ever seen on a lacrosse field that you've seen a player do that just made you go, holy, you know what? What the heck just happened?
I was thinking about this one. I was between the kid. I think Nova was with me when we saw the kid doing the row the boat on the way out and karate shit with a stick off the field when they were down by 15 goals. But that wasn't as cool. But I remember in high school, I was trying out for the Under Armour games in like 2009, and I was an underclassman just trying to give it a shot against some of the older guys. And this tree from Deerfield was probably like 6'6", doing one-on-ones with this kid, probably my height, like 5'9", 5'10" at the time. And he's just running with him, just kind of jogging with him. And he puts his hands in the middle of his pole, slashes him with his butt end in like the upper chest, slides his butt end through his stick, rips it out. And the kid just collapses on the ground, just falls, and he just walks away with the ball. And I said, you know what? Good for him.
Were you like, I'm never going against that guy ever in my life?
Fortunately, I was defenseman as well, but I knew at that point I was not making that team.
That's beautiful. Tharp, what about you? Craziest, wildest, coolest thing you've ever seen performed on a lacrosse field by a player is?
Man, this one's hard. Man, I hope I'm not stealing this from Nova. I think I got to give a shout out to my guy Kyle Aldridge. His go watch his junior summer highlight tape. He in one club game he scores he's doing Nova overhand, underhand, behind the back, and between the legs, all in the
Mhm.
same game. It was like 4 different goals in one way. And Kyle was one of the best kids I ever got to coach. And to do that in all in one game, it was incredibly impressive. So yeah, shout out to Kyle. That was a super talented player making some super talented plays.
Nova, craziest, wildest, coolest thing you've ever seen a player do?
Would have been if I ever saw Tharper Glock suit up. That would have definitely been my wildest thing. But for me, it would probably be a throwback with coaching with Gil when Lucas Kopecki won a face off with
Yes.
2.3 seconds left. It shot it from midfield and scored to help us go into overtime, and then ended up winning the game. That completely was out. Didn't think we had any chance, and then we ended up winning that game. That was definitely the craziest, and wildest thing that I ever, have at least been a part of or seen in person.
Coach Miceli, how about you?
Oh man, I wish I would have known this question beforehand. I would have definitely.
That's my fault.
I definitely would have brainstormed. I don't know. I've seen a lot of crazy things on the lacrosse field. I thought, a funny thing I saw last year. Not funny. I know we got two officials on this podcast.
Here we go. Here we
Let
go.
it rip.
In one of our
And Barb.
preseason scrimmages, we got the ball up top, and one of my middies throws to a guy on the wing, totally throws it like 10 yards over his head, going out of bounds. The official, I'm not going to say who on the game, was standing right on the sideline, and it hit him in the head and bounced about 5 yards into play. The other team thought it was out, and my guy picked up the ball and shot and scored, and it was a goal. And it was literally like it was 10 yards over the guy's head. It should have been out of bounds. The kid went to pick it up, hit the ref's head, and literally was like clunk, rolled back on the field. And my guy picked it up and scored. It was
Listen,
something I've
my-
never seen before.
my doctor said I was going to be okay after that game. Everything's fine. Don't worry about me. It's all good. My craziest thing that I can remember is I'm going in the Wayback Machine to a player named Whitney Hayes from Princeton High School. Ended up playing at Princeton U, and I believe they were playing against Petty. And this is 2000 in the early 2000s. Petty's a juggernaut at the time, and Whitney Hayes was my player of the year for the Trenton Times, and just an insanely good lacrosse player, but also a great soccer player. And there was a ball that was bouncing near to the alley, and the long pole from Petty lifted up his hands, and Whitney Hayes jumped and drop kicked the ball on purpose directly to a player on the crease who quick sticked the ball in. And I was like, whoa, did anybody else just see what happened? And everybody around me was like, oh my Lord. I wish that there was cameras and things existed the way they do now back then, because I still think to this day, one of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen a kid do. It was pretty awesome. So that's it. That's all I got for week 2 for our podcast, boys. A good job out of all of you. Coach Miceli, a great job out of you in week 1, and we wish you the best of luck as you embark on a busy week at Scotch Plains. And we will be back with an overtime episode coming up this Friday with a longtime New Jersey lacrosse coach in a lot of different places, MKA, Hopewell Valley, Mercer County Community College, and now at Lawrenceville Prep. That is Rob Cyrus. He sat down with me for about 30 minutes, and that'll drop in your feeds on Friday morning. And we'll be back next week with another edition of the New Jersey Lacrosse Podcast. Have a great week, everybody.
Thanks a lot, Moose.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.